What's going on, good people? Emilio here for a Performance Improvement Monday. That's right, guys. How is it going? Man, I haven't seen you guys in a minute. Hope all is going well with all of you. Everything's going all right with me. Can't complain. So, guys, today's performance improvement tip, it's about the multitask. That's right, that elusive creature we hear so much about, but we can't get a beat on. This multitask. What is it? What does it mean? Well, let's talk about that. So, some of you may know there's a debate going on. Some people say, you can't multitask. It's impossible to focus on two separate tasks at the exact same time. While other folks say, it's as easy as walking and chewing gum. You're doing two different things. You can walk and talk on your phone and talk to your neighbor and do a bunch of stuff, you know? So let's get into defining what the multitask is perceived to be. Then I'll give you a little bit of information on the examples that I just gave, and then I'll give you my take on the multitask, and you can do with that information what you will. All right, so the multitask typically is perceived as completing multiple tasks simultaneously. Like walking and chewing gum, you're doing it at the same time. However, that's not a correct definition. The true multitask is completing several projects with competing deadlines. They're either similar, overlapping, could be the same deadline, or what have you, but it's getting all of those projects done. That is the true multitask, and I use quotes for that. So that's the clarity on that definition. Now, here are the facts. So it is perfectly feasible for someone to walk and chew gum or walk and talk to a neighbor or whatnot, because those are motor functions. These are things we do unconsciously and don't require a lot of thought. All right? Now, when it comes to higher brain function, things that require you to think, it is physically impossible to divide the resources of your brain to two completely separate tasks at the same time. Like talking and listening. It's a great example. If you're talking, that means you're not listening. You can't do both at the same time. So when it comes to higher brain function, you can't divide your cerebral resources on two completely different tasks at the same time. It's not physically possible. So then that moves us into what I was referring to in terms of completing projects with competing deadlines. So right now I have a new business that I'm standing up, plus 6 projects that are currently in motion. All of them have competing deadlines. But not only am I delivering on all my deliverables, but I'm doing it at high quality and in some instances, not many, but in some instances ahead of schedule. And the way that I do that is by priority management. That is the true multitask, everybody. The true multitask is the priority management. And don't get it twisted with time management. Two completely different animals. You know, I'll give you an example of priority management. So let's say in your business, you really have to look into some process improvement techniques or tools and whatnot, because you notice that there's a drop in productivity and in overall morale. So you know there's an HR problem and a productivity problem, but you're not sure what it is. So you need to take the time to assess. But you're so bogged down in the day-to-day, you just tell yourself these things like, well, I just don't have time. I need to manage my time better to see how I can fit it in. And we all have these conversations with ourselves every day, like returning to school, for example, or starting that business, or starting that book. Oh, I just don't have time, and, you know, there's this competing and that competing, and I understand, you know, we all have, you know, some of us have kids, we got personal lives, we got family matters that we have to deal with. I understand, I get it, I sympathize with you. But the stuff still has to get done, and if you don't do it, it's not going to get done, am I right? So the way you do that is by effective priority management. By putting what's most important and what's most urgent first, and then going down the list. Now, there are many tools for priority management that you could look at, like the 4-quadrant priority management tool, which I think is great. It's one that I've used for years. It's one I highly recommend for people first looking into how to improve their processes and their priority management. I first recommend them to go through that and do a little self-assessment on that. But I digress. So the way that you apply it is that you stagger the most important, most urgent tasks one behind another, instead of one project behind another, or trying to tackle two tasks from completely separate projects or even the same project at the same time. What this allows you to do is gauge better where you need to put your resources, instead of being reactionary and just reacting to that task or process or project that's in front of you, and begin to be more strategic with your resources and your time. And even when you look at the ROI, when you start to complete tasks, the benefit that you reap, or what comes from completing certain tasks from one project, will have ripple effects into your other projects if you know how to stagger your priorities correctly. All right, so it's a very powerful tool, just one of the many tools that successful people use to get more done with less time in the day. And I'm gonna tell you, I'll be completely honest, I'm not one of these guys that do the 2 hour, 1 hour a night for like 5 years kind of guy. No, I'm not a big sleeper, but I get my 5 hours in. I get my 5 hours in at least every night. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine for me. But I do it while still getting a lot done, and I'm still taking on more projects, and still still completing my work at high productivity rate, high efficiency rate, high quality, and of course delivering more than what I was asked. All right, so there's your process improvement tip, everybody. The multitask is a myth. Learn how to priority manage, and your processes will begin to improve. All right, everybody, so that's a little over 7 minutes. I gotta cut this down. So everybody, I will talk to you tomorrow. If not, guys, I wish you a very powerful rest of the day and the rest of the week if I don't talk to you. Take care.